And now it's the time for the leadership in the new normal talk. Please welcome Anja Monrad, Senior Vice President and General Manager at Dell Technologies.
Thank you. Hey, I hope you can hear me well.
Yes, we can hear you
Oh,
well.
great. Super. Hey, I'm so honored to be here with you today. And thank you so much for inviting me. We got roughly half an hour to talk a little bit about leadership in the new normal. And I'm not gonna in any way pretend I'm an expert, right? I don't think any of us are experts who are just based on a couple of months of living in a pandemic world reality. But I'm happy to share a little bit of my experiences and some of the learnings that we have done. So first, to introduce myself, my name is Anja Monrad. I'm the Senior Vice President and General Manager of Dell Technologies in Central and Eastern Europe. That covers 32 countries in Central and Eastern Europe. For those of you who don't know Dell Technologies that well, we are roughly 165,000 employees. We are operating in 180 countries. We have 25 plus manufacturing locations, over 50 distribution centers, and we have roughly a 92 plus $1 billion revenue last year. We also ranked the number 4 uh, best workplaces for innovators in 2020 by Fast Company. So got a lot of big company, but really have entrepreneurship in our DNA. Michael Dell started the company in 1984 from his dorm room in Texas, and and since then he's really been focusing around entrepreneurship around the world, and he's also the UN ambassador of entrepreneurship. And I have the honor to and privilege to be the executive sponsor for entrepreneurship in Europe, Middle East, and Africa. So what I'm here to talk about a little bit today is like the new normal and new behaviors. And you can say, why are you talking about that for startup communities? And I think that there's a lot of things that are going to be similar between big companies and small companies, and that we're all going to go through this pandemic together and get learnings. But in Dell terms, since mid-March, 90% of our global workforce is working from home. Basically, over the course of a weekend, we packed up the whole company and moved it online. And you can say, being in Dell and being in a technology company, we were a little bit lucky because we had the infrastructure. We had people having laptops, and we had the internet connections already set up. So it made probably a little bit easier for us to do so. But we've been really, really focusing on supporting our customers and our partners throughout this pandemic. And just one example of Michael and Susan Dell Foundation have donated over $100 million to help small businesses and healthcare workers and other to combat COVID-19. So we've really been focusing around how we as a big company can come in and help in this new normal, new behaviors type of world. There's a lot of things that this new normal is going to bring, and I've been asked like several times over the last couple of months, hey, you've been doing virtual management, remote management for a very, very long time, and the leadership principles in that is very similar to what everyone is forced to do right now. So can you share some of that? And I'll come back to that a little bit later. But there is a big difference between what we see now in while we are in this pandemic situation and what we see when we have a normal leadership situation, because there's stress all around us. So when you have employees today, they're being stressed with the work situation, they're being stressed with the home situation, and in many ways with curfews, not being able to see friends and having a social life as well. So we can't just say the experience that I've had in the past working with remote teams can be transformed one-to-one into what we're seeing today. But there's no doubt that we're learning a lot of things from the last couple of months. And if we just look at some of the things that we are experiencing in all areas of our life. I would say the last couple of months have really showed us the opportunities that technology brings. And there was a survey done in Poland where 83% of the people said that technology had helped them cope with the effects of the pandemic. And we're reading in newspapers and hearing in the press that the pandemic have given a digital transformation and that we have digitally transformed in a massive pace over the last couple of months. In Dell, we've been talking about digital transformation and the digital and data decade that would happen from 2020 to 2030. And what we see today is what we thought would happen in 2030 is actually accelerated to 2025. And some of the things that we said, hey, those are 5 years out, they're already happening today and will be happening in the nearest couple of years. But I think it's important to talk about that we have not transformed yet. It's a journey. And we just started the journey. But what I think the last couple of months have really given us is an appreciation and our understanding of technology is really important. So it's now that the true transformation and now where the true works need to start to begin. What we've basically done is we've been giving a lot of people a lot of PCs and have them work from home, or a lot of students have been given a lot of PCs to be schooled from home, but we haven't really transformed the way we work or transformed the way that we educate, just to give you two examples. But there is no doubt that technology have played a key role in the last couple of months. And without technology, we wouldn't be able to work, we wouldn't be able to school, we wouldn't be able to engage and socialize in the last couple of months. And we see that in things like the Zoom stack I'm using Zoom here to communicate with you today from my apartment here in Copenhagen. And we've seen the Zoom price go up by nearly 600% in so far this year, which is like massive. And we're using like Zoom and Google Meet and Microsoft Teams and all of these things to communicate, for everything, for work, for fun, family time, and all of that. If we look at some of the things that technology have really boosted, it is like areas like telehealth. So 19% of Americans would have used telehealth to communicate with doctors in 2090. Now, according to McKinsey, that is up to 46%. So almost half of the American population have been in contact if they needed a doctor in a telehealth type of way. And there's also things like AI that can be used in this area going forward. So we're going to see areas where we're going to have doctors being kind of like augmented doctors, where they're going to be having AI and machine learning support them in the way that they're going to be talking to patients. So just think about how that is going to democratize healthcare. You can actually have access to the best professors and the best expertise, no matter where you're going to be in the world through technology. Another area is the whole area around education. In most countries, we sent students home when we closed schools, and in some countries, they already had PCs, and others we're going through, and we still are going through providing PCs for all of these students. But areas like 5G is really going to boost that in the future. So we are going to see in the future a hybrid model of some students being in school, some students being educated from homes. And again, just like with the areas with the doctors, you're going to have the best professors being available for all students, no matter whether they're in the big metropoles or in rural areas in, let's say, Romania. So again, we're going to democratize education through technology. AI is really also an area in education, and approximately $6 billion is what the AI for education market is expected to be in 2024, according to Guide Research. So this is a huge market. and it will be, and as you see here, you have on the slides, you have a docking station for notebooks for students. You have like the education from home scenarios. But just think about what technology can do for education when you have either colorblind students or hearing impaired students, where you can actually have technology help them overcome some of these things. And then there's the future of work, where we're really going to see a hybrid model again here, some working from home and some working from companies. Before the pandemic, Dell had 40% of our workforce working from home. During the pandemic, as I mentioned before, 90% of our workforce is working from home. It's basically only the manufacturing factories and distribution centers where we have people on site. Going forward, we expect that roughly 60% of our employees are going to be working from home. And when we did a survey amongst our customers, they say that they believe that 20% more of their employees is going to work from home. And I think that number is way understated, that it's going to be way, way more. And that requires totally new leadership capabilities of all of us. So when we look at like the new reality and what does that then require in terms of ways of leading teams. And you can say, hey, I'm a startup, so why are you talking about all of these internal things? I should be focusing on my customers. I can't be really focused on all of these internal teams, and you may not also have that many employees. But we have something in Dell that we have been running that's called WEN, Dell Women Entrepreneur Network. And we've been focusing together with female entrepreneurs for many, many years to boost their businesses. And we do summits every year where we bring together female entrepreneurs. And one of the things that they consistently say when we ask them, what would you have done differently? They consistently say, we would have focused on internal things, on HR, on how to set up internally, way focused. We were way focused on driving business, not necessarily because you wanted to, but because financially you were forced to focus on externally boosting your business, growing your business, and driving your business. But they consistently say we should have focused on the internal factors earlier in our career. Hence, I think it's interesting and important to start thinking about what can you do already now to start leading your teams differently. So first of all, I think we need to start thinking about the macro things and don't go into the tiny details in this current environment. When people are working from home, when there's so many things going on, when there's chaos with the pandemic, look at the bigger picture. Don't go in to look at the tiny small details, because that's not what's going to change the bigger scope for you. Then leading a remote team is really important, that everyone understands what they are supposed to be doing. That's also important when you lead a team on site. But when people are not there and you can't just pop over and give them a couple of comments and directions, goal setting and direction is going to be critical. So be very, very clear in your communication of setting goals and communicating goals, and communicate those goals over and over again. And you can say a lot of these things are also the same when you're in the office. It just gets a little bit more stronger needed when we're leading remotely. So easy to remember, very, very specific goals, and make sure that everyone is communicated and over communicated. Then there is a clear learning for me that you're not leading a team. I'm not leading a team. I'm leading individuals that together make it a team. When I'm in the office and everyone is there, then it's easier to address people as a team, because you can kind of sense the differences from everyone, the reactions. But when they're remote, it is really so much more important to focus on each individual individually. and look for different points of views, really celebrating and encouraging everyone to step up and be individuals. When you have all of these Teams meetings or Zoom meetings and you see everyone and everyone having their video on, it puts people on an even playing field, both the extroverts and the introverts. And it's a great opportunity now to have the introverts even come up and play a bigger role. But we as leaders need to make sure we create space for them to actually do that. Then set your priorities straight and make sure that you have a balance between driving business and driving the well-being of your team. And again, you can say good leaders do that no matter whether it is in a pandemic situation and forced to remote workforce or whether it's working from the office. But it just becomes even more important when we are in the situation we are in now. So you are all of a sudden being responsible not just for the output and outcome of the work that your employees do, but you also become responsible for their health and their safety, and the well-being of the team. So, obviously, you have to consider that before you start thinking about, how, or not just thinking about how your business is thriving, but you also have to be responsible for the health and safety of your team, and focus on that in the way that you lead your team. If we take a look at some of the things that you can do to do that, it's important to encourage the balance. I have my PC here in my apartment in Copenhagen, and in some nights I don't turn it off, and then it becomes super easy just to pop over and just do a little bit of work, where when you're working in the office, you close down, you go home, and your employees have the same. So it's important to think about how you balance their work life as well. Not sending emails at 2 a.m. on a Saturday morning, not scheduling calls out of working hours, and really allowing for flexibility, and again, focus on the goals and on the outcome, not on when people are working. So work is really clearly not a place, it's not a time. Work is really much more focused around an outcome. So what are they delivering? Are they delivering what you agreed? Not when are they working and where are they working? And it's also really showing that work is much more effective. We used to talk about in the past that we should create all of these creative areas where people could come in and spend the whole day of working. But it really turns out in research that work is way more effective if it's done in sprints and not in bursts and not in these long areas. So let people work for a short time, take some time off, work a little bit, take a little bit of time off. And that's also going to be needed when they have all of these schooling from home with kids. But also work on your own unconscious bias. And you may say, but I don't have any bias in any ways. But we know also from research that there is unconscious bias around the fact of working from home, and just because somebody is telecommuting or taking care of someone at home doesn't mean that they are less productive. And so make sure you set the goals and measure on that. Don't judge, because and work on your unconscious bias on how are you actually viewing the fact that they're not working closely with you, but they're working remotely. And we know again that people that used to work remotely and used to work from home were having less career progression than people that used to work in the office. And that's only down to bias. So we need to really focus on the outcome, not focus on where people are. That is going to become the new normal. If we're going to have hybrid solutions of people working in in both in the offices and in at home, then the whole way of how are we going to judge, how are we going to do promotions is going to be way more important going forward. We know that innovative communication is going to be critical. We have to start talking to people in different ways, and we can see that in the beginning of the pandemic, we were having all of these happy hours and all of the activities and Christmas parties in July and all of these things to keep people motivated. But we need to start getting that into a new normal of finding innovative ways to communicate and inspire people. So this is a very good time to start redefining business and looking for new opportunities, and start looking at how can we launch new business models, how can we improve productivity, and how can we actually get more productivity out of people by them not having to do commuting again. We see in some of the research that we have done that 78% of our companies worldwide are saying that they need to reinvent their business models based on the learnings of the last couple of months of the pandemic. And we think that, and we see that digital transformation is going to be a key that's going to help the companies change. And we also hear from employees saying we want our companies to take care of our health and safety. And 83% of the global workforce is actually saying that they want their companies to provide technical support for their mental health. So different apps that can help them, get up and get healthy. And in the research that's done, 76% are saying that they believe that companies should do way more to support the mental health of employees. So there's a lot of opportunities here to encourage the balance. And although you say, hey, I'm a small startup or mid-sized startup, I don't have time to focus on this at this point of time. I need to do a lot of things to secure my survival. Again, coming back to what the DWEN employee participants said in our summits, they wish they had focused on their setting up the internal systems, the HR processes, the way that the culture of the company way earlier than what they actually did. So just turning on, then a little bit of an external focus. We have experienced in Dell as you could have seen if you followed our financials, a great performance in the beginning of this year. And technology is obviously the right place to be in a situation with a pandemic, as we spoke about, where both education and healthcare and all of the work from home is happening, and communication with friends and family is all happening through technology. So we've obviously, from a financial point of view, been in the right place, but we're also experiencing a lot of challenges. I've discussed with my team that we're very good at engaging with customers that we have a long-standing relationship with. So when you have like relationship capital that you've banked over the years, you can now, in this situation where you can't meet with people, you can start drawing from that and actually slowly benefiting from years of investments in the relationship. But the area of acquiring new customers becomes increasingly more and more difficult in a digital, online, remote world. We've canceled all of our events, as you can imagine. And just like this event is happening purely in a virtual world, we've done all of our events in virtuals and in online environments. And although that's very, very effective for some things, we are also experiencing that we're missing the relationship, building the personal contacts in the new account, in the new acquiring new customers situation. But where it is effective for us to do all of the online things, we've found out that things like product launches is way more effective in the online world than it used to be in the real physical world. So before we would invite customers to full day events and presenting our new products. And we would have a very limited outcome of people wanting to spend the full day with us. When we do an online product launch with just a half an hour, here are the key things of this product and what that can do for you, we see a much higher attendance. So we're definitely going to go in the future and have much more balance between online marketing events and real life marketing events and choosing the ones for the right things. But no matter whether you're a big company or small company, it's always going to be about putting your customers in focus. So what are your customers needing right now in these times, and how can you best support them? And in crisis, there is no better time than to do some bold moves and implement some non-standard strategies. And if your product and service that you're having is not fitting in the pandemic reality, look at how you can twist it a little bit so it becomes much more suitable for that. But keep technology in your DNA. And I'm not saying that just because I'm coming from a technology company and I want to sell you a lot of stuff. I definitely do want to sell you a lot of stuff when you become a big company over time. But this is not about the technology infrastructure itself. It's about what technology does in terms of changing your business models and making you a company that can thrive in the new reality. As I mentioned before, 78% of all our customers said we need technology, and technology have made us more effective to go through the last couple of months of pandemic. Whether you're a restaurant where now people are ordering takeaway online, or a retailer that had to close the bricks and mortar part of your business and are selling only online, or it's a consultancy company that can't go out but now need to do that remotely. We're seeing, or a bank that where people can't go down to the branches, so everything, all the banking needs to happen. The doctor with the health, telehealth, all of that has technology in its core. And we've seen how important technology have been throughout the last couple of months. So keep technology, think how technology can help you going forward, how you can be open for change. And then also it says keep it professional even from home. It may sound like something that wouldn't be necessarily to mention at all, but we are seeing, and I'm seeing when I'm having customer meetings, I'm seeing people having the meetings, from their bedrooms without putting a Zoom background on that kind of like blurs a little bit. People that are not dressed for the occasion, that don't dress up because they're working from home, so who cares? I'm pretty sure you all keep that in mind, but I've seen examples, so keep it professional even from home. And then the last point I think I want to make around this whole area is like, this is also about staying sane and not just about staying safe. And as I mentioned before, the COVID-19 pandemic have increased workplace stress, anxiety and burnouts for people around the world. There's an Oracle study that shows that the COVID-19 pandemic has created the most stressful year in history, with the most negative affected mental health of 78% of the global workforce. And there's a Polish survey that shows that 57% of millennials and 58% of Gen X are saying that that the pandemic has had a negative impact on their well-being. So I think no matter which research you pick up, it's going to show the same thing. In a normal stress situation, when you are stressed at work or you have difficulties at work, you would go home and work, and home would be your safe haven. That would be where you would get re-energized with your family at home. In this situation, that can't be done because you come home, or you don't even come home, you work from home, and your home situation may be stressed as well. You can't go out and get energy from your friends because in many cases you're prevented from that. So you're really impacted both on the work, on the family, and the social life part. So we need to keep that in mind with ourselves and with our employees. And everyone reacts differently to stress, and that's okay, and every reaction is okay. So back to the point of, you're not leading a team, you're leading a bunch of individuals that together gets it to be a team. So for myself, and also I hope for you, eat healthy, drink a lot of water, exercise, all of these things that we keep hearing, get enough sleep. But it's so much more important in this environment. And it may sound like, hey, I'm not going to talk with my employees around this, or with my team members around this, because those are basic things. But it is important, and I do, and I can see how they appreciate that I'm actually asking in to, how is your health situation? How is your family's health situation? Are you getting enough sleep? Are you working too much? So I'm not trying to become a therapist. I'm not trying to become the doctor, but I think that everyone needs somebody that actually asks to their well-being. And in this situation, and the research shows that we are right, employees are saying, I want my employer to take care of me. I want my employer to care about me, and I want them to bring these solutions in some way. So do not overwork, but make sure you spend enough time on doing this, both for yourself and for your employees. There's no doubt that this is a difficult time for everyone. It's especially a difficult time if you're a startup and your company is not financially sound yet. But it also provides opportunities. And let's look at the opportunities that it provides. Keep technology in your DNA, make that a ingrained part of what you're going to be going forward. And I'm pretty sure that your companies are going to be thriving and going forward. So with that, I'm going to stop and see if there's any questions or any comments that anyone would like to have. See if I can see. So there's a questions whether we're using team EQ for teams to work together. We don't necessarily in Dell use that application, but we do use different collaborative applications. And over the last couple of months, we're actually seeing more and more of these applications coming into play as well. So. Okay, any other things? I'm trying to see if there's any other. Yeah, there was a question saying, I want to know types of leadership. I hope we covered that, and how to balance. I think we spoke about that as well. So anything else? Any other questions? No. So with that, I'll pass it back over to the organizers.